If I look at the image tab, I can see various different options. The image size settings. Now keep in mind the camera is actually 320 by 240, but it scales it to 640 by 480 for our viewing. My frame rate is 30 Hertz coming off the camera. Of course, I have Ethernet connection, and so I'm only getting about 5 Hertz displayed digitally. But the analog video will match NTSC composite video outputs. I have a couple temperature ranges I can choose from, and I also have a few palettes that I can choose from as well. Iron is a very popular palette. Reality is, though, grayscale works best for your eye. You can see the most grayscales available, but the color palettes are a little bit more intuitive, so you can easily tell what's hot. Sometimes the grayscale is a little bit boring, and you may not realize that white represents hot. If I want to invert the palette, now everything that's hot actually is a darker color. But the more intuitive way is usually the standard palette where the lighter colors are hotter and the darker colors are colder. I can also go down to image adjustment and do an auto adjust, which it's set up for, and this is basically controlling your level and span. If I uncheck auto adjust, now I can alter my span. Let's make it something significantly smaller. On the top end, let's do 73 degrees Celsius. And on the bottom end, let's do 50 degrees Celsius. There, you'll notice that it updated. Here I have 50 as my low end and 73 as my top end. This is kind of nice if I'm interested in the cup and not the background. I'm still getting values for the background, but I've chosen to use my color palette only on this specific temperature range, so it ignores everything outside of that range. For example, the handle of the mug is still there, obviously, and we're seeing it with the camera. It's just we're not displaying colors across it, so it disappears. What this does, again, is just help you get better enhancement on a smaller range of temperatures. If we go back to auto adjust, we'll see that it comes back. I can also choose to keep these settings on restart, which means it's going to save it, so if I power cycle the camera, it'll boot back up with the exact same settings that I'd set here. Let's go back to auto adjust, and of course there now I see the handle in the background, and I get my wide temperature range. There's different methods too. Linear is basically a one-to-one comparison. Histogram will give you a lot more detail. This is exciting because you notice when I switched to histogram, I actually got a lot more detail on my background than I had with linear, but I still have some good detail on the cup itself. Normally I would tell you to probably use histogram as your method for the AGC algorithm. Again, the color palette in the range doesn't change any of the data we're measuring. It just changes the view of how we display that color within the temperature range of data we're looking at.